must be the greatest. I told the world, I thought the God ever gave. I'm the best ever.
Welcome to the DL Boxing Podcast. I am your host, Coach D, along with co-host neighborhood hero Ryan Rios and Bad Chaz, where we talk about the sport you and I love, boxing. Welcome to episode 33. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bad Chaz, let them know what we got in store for them, man.
Oh, you know what? We're going to talk about the fight recap, and that's going to highlight the pay-per-view fight that took place this weekend that everybody was tuned in for. Stay tuned.
That's right. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios. What else do we have in tune for our fans, man?
Yes, let's not forget about the current events. We have Liam Smith on that rematch with Eubank. I can't wait for that. And then also we all want to see what Tyson Fury is going to do.
Absolutely. But before we get into those topics, guys, we have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
Let me introduce him. Working out of the Zoom corner, hailing from San Antonio, Texas, he is a head athletic trainer and cutman. Ladies and gentlemen, Augie Melendez.
What's up, Augie?
Welcome, Augie.
What's up, guys? Good evening.
Hey, how you doing, Augie? Thank you so much for taking the time out to be on the DL Boxing Podcast. How you doing this evening, man?
Doing great. Appreciate you guys for having me.
Oh, man, we're excited to have you on. Well, let's get into it, Augie. We know you have the love for boxing and martial arts. Tell us about your upbringing and how you developed that love for the martial arts and boxing.
Yes, sir. So I'm originally from Galveston, Texas. It's a little island about half an hour away from Houston, Texas. Both my parents are immigrants. My dad's from San Luis Potosí. My mom's from Tamaulipas. And this is growing up, man, a lot like, appreciate you guys yourselves. I watched the Chavez fight, the Loya fight, like the poster you guys got in the back. I watched this growing up with my dad, as a kid. And, he grew up as a soccer player. He had uncles that boxed. My grandpa was a boxer down in Mexico as well. And I asked him now, I was like, how come you never signed me up in like Little League baseball or like Pee Wee football? He simply didn't know where to sign me up at. And we started off in like karate kickboxing. I was 9 years old. So he saw the ad in the newspaper. We went, and, man, I broke my first nose at 9. I threw a roundhouse kick. Me and the kid were locked up, and I saw his face, and then boom, just came right down the middle. I was hooked. After that, man. So we did that for about 6 years. I competed a lot within, just full contact kickboxing. And about 15, I got tired of getting kicked in the face. So I told my dad I want to box. That was probably, I think, the summer going into my junior year in high school. And then from there, we trained out in about the Houston area about 2 years. And then I went to college out in Corpus Christi, Texas. I kept training out there. Won a couple Golden Glove tournaments as a novice fighter. And then the way I got to San Antonio was actually grad school. And then I kept training out there with Coach Rick Nunez out there at South Park Boxing Academy.
Wow.
Nice. I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah, that's awesome, Augie. Well, let's talk about your professional career, Augie. We know you've earned your Bachelor of Science from Texas A&M Corpus Christi, as well as your Master of Science in Kinesiology from UIW. Tell us, what doors has those degrees opened up for you, and as a result of your hard work, man?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it for asking. So my bachelor's degree was a 4-year degree out there in Corpus Christi. So it's in the sports medicine department. And for those of you that don't know, that's a certified licensed athletic trainer. I'm in charge of everything, strains, sprains, fractures, post-op surgeries. We don't refer out for physical therapy. Everything stays in-house. And the amazing thing about these athletes, they want to get better. We're not as conservative with their rehab. We're able to push them a whole lot more. I like to blur the line from recovery to the weight room to the field. And so from there, at the time, it was a 4-year degree. Since then, it's turned into a 2-year master's degree. And one of the directors of the program that I was in out in Corpus, she asked me, I think it was like my junior year in college, she's like, "Oh, what do you think about grad school?" And I told her, I was like, "Honestly, ma'am, I'm just happy I'm in college. I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be here. I guess, this is what you suggest. Let's go." And I had looked at a lot of schools like in East Texas. I looked out in Florida. And at the time, I was out with an injury, actually. I had a concussion and a broken nose. I was training for Golden Gloves. That was 2016. And I asked my coach down in Corpus Christi, this is Jerry Belmontes, his dad, Sal Belmontes. I asked him, I was like, "Well, Coach Sal, if I can't work the fights, can I assist the corner in Golden Gloves?" So at that point, I ended up just working the corner, the stool, the spit bucket. I worked that weekend, and then the following weekend, they asked me, like, hey, man, we need help out in San Antonio. And we're at Cowboys Dance Hall for one of the first PPC cards. And from there, I was like, well, if I can't fight, teach me how to rap, teach me how to work cuts. And one of the older coaches at the gym was just like, man, you're a fighter, stay in the ring. Stay in the ring, do what you can. But then our other coach, Coach Richard Rodriguez, he was like, if Augie's learning everything about sports medicine, why not teach him? We can't be here forever. And at the time, Jerry Belmonte was getting ready to fight Omar Figueroa. And, we had an ankle sprain in camp. And I was like, man, we're not pulling out of a fight for an ankle sprain. Let me do what I can. I was still a student, but they gave me the opportunity to do the rehab, the ice bucket, and, do my magic, work through the tape job. And he got through the fight. And from that point, I guess you do know a little something. And it's been cool, man. It's been great. Coming out to San Antonio was an easy choice just because of the connections I had made out here through boxing.
Right. Yeah. So your work as a cutman is pretty impressive, man. We see you working the corners of such names as like Jermall Charlo, maybe even Errol Spence. Have you worked with Errol Spence before?
Yes, sir. So I worked that Errol Spence fight first whenever he fought Ugas, and then they called me back. Coach Derek James called me back for the Jermall Charlo fight.
Wow. And what's that experience like, man? Working for those elite level fighters, man.
Back to when I first made that trip in 2016. My coach from Corpus, he's a Vietnam veteran. He told me, I'm going to teach you what I know, but I'm going to introduce you to a guy that knows more. And that was Cutman Joe Villanueva. So he's been practicing here in Texas with Juan Baby Bull Diaz. He was actually working with the Charlo brothers and Earl Spence. And at first, he was a Vietnam vet, Navy corpsman. Just like most, old school cutman or coaches, he's like, what do you know? Who do you know? Why should I teach you? And him and my coach, they had a conversation. He's like, man, this kid's going to school for, sports medicine, and he fights and he trains. He understands what these guys go through. Why not? And honestly, I just followed him for 2 years. Just 2 years, fly on the wall. And through those 2 years, I got to meet like Coach Ronnie Shields out of Houston, Texas, Coach Derek James, and out there in Dallas. And when we were here in San Antonio, that's what opened up those doors for me out here. And so I had actually contacted him. I think it was when Pacquiao was supposed to fight Spence before the car accident. Sorry, after the car accident, before they found the glass in his eye. I'm a huge Manny Pacquiao fan ever since I was a kid, and I was just like, I just want to be there. I'll go back to holding spit bucket, the stool. There's no job, too small or too big for me to do. Let's do it. So the fight fell through, and then when they announced the Spence Ugas fight, I had just finished up spring football. It was last spring, and Cutman Joe called me. He's like, you be in Dallas this Wednesday? The weigh-ins are Friday. I can get some fights for you on the undercard. I was like, yeah, it's fine. And he was like, it's the undercard. Like before the doors even open, the TV isn't even on. They're still building the ring while you're there. And I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. I'm just, happy to be there, sir. I'll help you out any way you can. So I ended up working with Coach Derek James on the undercard. We fought actually one of Bob Santos' kids out of one of the Barrientos twins out of Las Vegas. And they're over there at gym pound for pound. And it was a great fight. And, the guy ended up getting 2 cuts, one on his eyebrow in the second round. He got another one on the eyelid in the 4th round for a 6-round fight or an 8-round fight. And Coach Derek just looks at me and he was like, all right, do your job. And we stopped the blood, man. And from there, at those bigger events, they cut your band off. They cut your band off and they send you to the box office to go get tickets. And Cutman Joe told the commission, he's like, no, he's with me. He's coming to the locker room. So I was in there just hanging out, helping him out any way I could. And I think it was Gamboa got knocked out by Isaac Cruz in the co-main event, if I'm not mistaken. Showtime walks in and they tell, Team Spence, like, hey, you guys got 10 minutes to walk. I was like, all right, guys, have fun. I can't be ringside. I'll watch the fight in here. And Cutman Joe looks at me and he says, you got the fight. Nice. I was like, what do you mean? Like, all of my stuff's empty. Like, what do you mean, Joe? He says, I don't know what's going on, but my legs are cramping. I'm lightheaded. My blood pressure's pretty high. I'm not going to go out there and be a handicap to the team. So at that point, I had 10 minutes to get all my supplies together. And then he's like, I'm going to go tell Coach Derek. And Derek just looks at me. He's like, get ready. I got to go tell EJ. But he goes over and tells Spence, and I mean, I was just there, man. I was just, shaking hands and whatnot, being respectful. And Spence goes off. And he's just like, no, man, this isn't it, Joe. You knew this was going to happen. And I was telling Cutman Joe, I was like, if you want to put me on, just don't do it this way. Like, we can do this, and we can go about this a different way. And from there, he just called Spence. He's like, he's good. I promise you he's good. And he walks over, man. I'm still getting my stuff together. And he's like, you better be good. You better be damn good. I swear to God. And I told him, I was like, I got you. Let's work. So at that point, I put everything down, and boom, we're walking through the tunnel. There's this Cowboy Stadium, 40,000 people. And I was like, all right, every single football game I've worked, every other smaller card that I've worked, it's just another fight. It's just another game. And we just locked in. And, we locked in, and we split directions. They go up one way, I go up the other. I got everything ready in my corner. And, the lights start going crazy. And at that point, they're doing the introductions. And I had spoke to Stitch Duran. I had met him a couple weeks before. I looked across the ring, and I spoke to him at the weigh-ins. And I was like, who do you have, Stitch? And he's like, just the main event. What about you, Augie? I was like, some local guys on the undercard. All right, cool. You have a good evening, sir. And that was it. And he looked across the ring, and he looks at me. And he just nods. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's get it. And at that point, man, we just, we hit the ground running. And first thing Coach Rick texted me was, where's Joe? Because Joe was Rick's cut man for a long time. And once we started talking about it later, I called him as soon as the fight was over. He's like, just like we told our fighters, and just like I told you when you were training with me, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And, the time will come. So it was a blessing in disguise, man. It was an amazing moment.
Damn. Wow. Hey, what an amazing story, Augie. Hey, man, you got the right attitude and the work ethic to match, man. So congratulations on that, man. That is definitely awesome, and we're so happy for you, man. Augie, I'm going to pass it over to Bad Chaz for some more questions.
Hey, Augie, man, thanks for coming on the show, man. We're big fans and watching everything that you do, so it's a pleasure to have you on tonight. My first question is, everybody kind of does has their own style when it comes to being a cut man, whether it's wrapping hands or, taking care of their fighter leading up to the fight or during the fight. What are some of the things, with your education and your background that you do for your fighters to maybe strengthen their hands or do some post-therapy, you know what I mean, to make sure that they stay intact, especially with their hands? Is there some things that you like to do particularly?
In regards to hands, so I've had 2 wrist injuries. One of them, Coach Rick will tell you, I'll tell you before he tells you if you guys ever speak to him, that one retired me, according to him. I caught an elbow with a body shot, and my ulnar styloid spun off and was way over here. So whenever it happened, I took off my glove. My hand was like this. And then I called our team physician that I work with. I was like, hey, man, have you had dinner already? All right, meet me at your office. And then we had surgery that night. And that's when Coach Rick said, he's like, I need your brains and I need your hands. I'm retiring you. That was right before COVID hit. So since then, it's just a lot of what my dad did. You can even find it at Academy, or you can get like a stick with a shoestring and throw it away at the bottom. Just your old-fashioned just curls all the way up, all the way down, all the way up, all the way down for whatever count the guys like to go for. Even with my rehab guys and my football players, I love using the boxing bell in the athletic training room. They think it's a cool spin on rehab. It gets their attention a little more, and I was like, I need you to work all the way to the end of the round. A lot of the guys like doing the rice bucket, putting your hand all the way in and twist, 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 twist. Or even in right now we have a kid at the boxing gym. Hopefully he'll go pro next summer. He tore what's called your extensor hood. So these are your extensors on the top of your fingers. They extend your fingers. But what happens sometimes, that hood, you see how it rolls over? It's not supposed to do that. But I'm not competing anymore. So result of that, that's why I got that little dimple in that bone now. So the kid just has surgery just to make sure that it stays there. And so his range of motion is great. His grip strength is getting better. So sometimes we'll do dead hangs. Like he can't get up on a pull-up bar, so he'll just do a dead hang for about a minute or so, and we'll just keep adding on that. We're working on his strength as well. So he'll do his like bicep curls, and then he'll leave his arm at the bottom, or he'll stay out here just to work the shoulders a little bit more. Just flip, 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 flip. And then we go straight into some shoulder presses. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, I love being an athletic trainer. Physical therapy is an amazing profession as well. I got some physical therapists that work along with me. But there's just a greater understanding of, what an athlete goes through, specifically what a boxer goes through. It's, tremendous different type of athlete. And whenever my guys do come see me in the office, I love the cold tub. Cryotherapy chambers are amazing, but the cold tub works, man, and it's worked for so long. As long as it's at the right temperature, 50 to 60 degrees, anything colder is just torture, honestly. There's this thing called a contrast bath where you can do a cold tub, warm tub. The tub's about 110, 115 degrees. So the cold tub will vasoconstrict the blood vessels, and then the warm tub will vasodilate, open up the blood vessels. You just get that pumping rush, the same thing you get through massage, recovery boots, stuff like that. And the first thing I always ask the guys whenever they get in the tub, I'll just talk to them to distract them. And then I'll ask them, how are your hands feeling? Like, a little sore? I was like, okay, good. Put your hands in. So that'll help. Sometimes with that contrast bath, people like to play with the numbers. I like to do 5 cold, 5 hot, 5 cold, 5 hot. Whenever they get out, I'll do some other things with them, kind of flush their legs out. There's actually this thing called a paraffin bath. And I don't know if your wives or your daughters go get their nails done. Paraffin bath is the same thing they put your feet in, where they put the wax. It hardens, and it'll harden around your hand, and it just molds. It molds, and that helps out with all the swelling and inflammation. My offensive linemen love it. And they can't get through the season without it. I got all kinds of jacked up fingers with some guys, so that's our go-to in regards to hands, man.
Oh, nice.
Usually, whenever I do ask the guys on fight night, if it's just a random guy that I'm working with or someone I've been contracted for that I haven't worked with in the past, how are your hands doing? Do you have anything, do you like to fold the knuckle pad? Do you want me just to stack the knuckle pad? Do you like for your coach to wrap you instead of me wrapping you? I don't have to wrap you. I would never, ever disrupt that coach-boxer relationship because I know what that is. And it's just this preference, even while going through the wrap. You've done yours. Going through the wrap, is that too tight? Is this too loose? How's your thumb feel? I've had MMA fighters that say, I don't do my thumb. All right, cool. We don't have to do it. Little things like that.
Yeah, nice, man. Besides, the hands, have you experienced any other common injuries that mostly boxers encounter?
Man, concussions, but we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah. The concussions.
So, that's one thing. All of my guys at the gym, we do like a baseline, and I have a generic concussion eval. And the amazing thing about it is I see them all the time, so I know what their normal is. Even whenever I go work a fight, I'll try to find the ringside physician, and if I'm not familiar with them, I'll ask them, what kind of doctor are you? I've had gynecologists, I've had optometrists, pediatricians, dentists. I was like, why are you working this fight tonight? But I was like, all right, I'm an athletic trainer. I'll stop the fight before you do if my guy's hurt.
Yeah.
Little things like that. Obviously, head injuries are very, very common in the sport, very serious note in the sport. But even with the guys, I would say they're part-time track runners, cross-country runners.
Yeah.
So sometimes shin splints, a lot of guys, they don't know how to stretch as well or warm up efficiently. So you get your soft tissue stuff, your hamstring strains, groin strains, hip flexors. Shin splints is usually a go-to, and the first thing I start off with is guys' shoes. Shoes, do they walk around in slides all day, stuff like that.
Yeah. Speaking of shoes, these guys are running a lot of miles, especially in camp and stuff. What are some good shoes, is there any out there that you would recommend to some guys, doing a lot of road work?
My boy Omar Juarez fights in a couple of weeks, and he will tell you all day, every day, he loves his Hokas.
We've heard that before.
That's just me. I think Hokas have too much of a cushion. Again, that's just a preference. A lot of guys like Asics. A lot of guys like Brooks. You kind of just have to play with it. I have Nike Pegasus. I've ran in those since I was in high school. I ran all in middle school and college. Middle school and high school. But I ran to fight. That's why I didn't want to run in college. I didn't really care to run in college. Yeah. You gotta play with it, man. See what's the most comfortable.
Right on. Going back to you mentioned concussions, and you mentioned you kind of analyze the baseline for athletes or for boxers, anybody that encounters that concussion. Is there a certain kind of program that you use or a system for something like that to kind of analyze that and kind of keep them on a grid to kind of make sure that they're getting better?
There's so I had a student ask me. So I got master's students that come and observe me. I usually get students every single semester. And what I try to tell them is it's a tool. It's a tool that assists in your diagnosis. So as athletic trainers, we are able to diagnose whatever pathology, injury may be. So it's a tool that kind of just helps me. So with the baseline, like, this is your normal. You just might be slower than the other guy. There's one that's commonly used. Sometimes I think the UFC used to use it. I know the Olympics uses it. It's called a King-Devick's test. That's Devick. And it's a series of numbers. I wish I had it with me. I can show you guys. It's a series of numbers that you follow. I'm using my finger, but you actually can't use your finger. It's 4 cards. You follow the numbers, say them as fast as you can, as accurate as you can. You flip, and then the lines go away. It's like dashes, and they're more separated. Then you flip. Now it's just a series of numbers, but you still got to read from left to right as fast as you can, as accurate as you can. So that's something I could use like on the sideline or even like in the locker room. I have one in my bag that I kind of carry with me. And that King-Devick says like I would say if you went through all 3 cards, it might be like 45 seconds. If it's a linebacker or a quarterback that has really good rapid eye movement, they've knocked those 3 cards out like in 30 seconds. Having that baseline and you see how the kid is, like let's say initially on the sideline, I got to make a decision within 45 seconds, like, hey, coach, is he going back out? I check what his normal is. I check pupil dilation. How did you get hit? Who were we playing? What was the play that you were running? And then we go through the test maybe, and then it's just like, well, shoot, man, you knocked it out in 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Now we're at 25 seconds, and you haven't gotten past the first card. Sometimes I give them a fighter's chance, even with the football players. I was like, look, I'm going to hold you down in the first half. I'm going to check you back out at halftime, and we'll go from there. My team physician made a joke. I went with Mario Barrios to camp in California. I think it was the Tank fight, the Keith Thurman fight. And that week during spring football, I think we had 3 concussions. And my doctor was just like, this is crazy. Augie isn't here, and we diagnose concussions now. I was just like, man, don't be saying stuff like that. But it varies. It varies. I would say, it's from guy to guy. There's an app that we use called Sway. And what that one does, you do need to use like it's like a subscription of the sort, something like that. So we pay yearly to the school with that one. Another one that's used is called a SCAT 5. With that SCAT 5, you can just Google it. And then even any amateur boxing coach or boxing coach, it's step by step. Anybody can go through that one. It's like a PDF. And even if, let's say you're traveling with your fighter's passbooks, just throw the SCAT 5 in there. And then maybe you can, run your kids through it and stuff. There's a lot of memorization, a lot of like rapid eye movement stuff. And a lot of it is just the symptom score. Do you feel foggy? Do you feel out of it? Is there sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound, things like that?
Nice, man. Hey, thanks for sharing that, man. You're a wealth of knowledge, and it shows through your experience and your education, man. Thanks for sharing all that information with me. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Neighborhood Hero now.
Hey, what's up, Augie? Thanks for coming on, man. Much respect. Hey, you know what, man? I love everything you guys got going on in San Antonio right now, man. That community is great, dude. From the boxers to the fans to the promoters to just everybody out there, man. It's an exciting time. What is it?
I'm here for a fight, man.
Exactly. I was just telling Bad Chaz that we got to go out there. But man, what is it like to be involved in that community right now, dude?
People ask me all the time why I haven't left UIW. It's an amazing school. It's Division I. It's FCS. So you think about your Alabama, your LSUs, your UTs, and FCS is right underneath it. Think of like your Division AA type of thing. Like Sac State out in California. So we beat them this past year in the playoffs. And honestly, I won't leave because of the city of San Antonio. I've been blessed to be in my position for the last 2 years. I've been at UIW for 5 years. I got here fall 17. And I mean, whenever I got to Rick's gym, he had Mario Barrios. His sister, Selena Barrios, was there. We had another kid, Henry Arredondo was there. Panterita, who's now with RGBA, he was there as a little amateur. David Cortez was there as an amateur. He would come in and out of the gym. We have a whole bunch of like all the kids that are, you got Bam and Josh Franco. Mm-hmm. So I got here at 22. They're about 15, 16 years old at the time. And just to watch them grow and see how much has grown within the city. I mean, it's always been an amazing boxing city.
Yeah.
Why would I leave?
Right.
The city's amazing. Even I would say within the boxing gyms, there's a lot of coaches that I would say around 2020, that's when Rick started taking me with him. He was just, all right, look, I'm going to go spoil all the boys. I need you to coach in the corner with me. Because there's one day that, just like now, I'm going to be in Vegas and you're going to be in charge of the gym. Or we're going to have fights in California and I'm going to send you to Atlanta or wherever it may be. And just from there, I mean, just going from gym to gym, there's a camaraderie. There's, Countdown City, Mission City, Alamo City, whatever they want to call it. It's been great. It's been great so far. And even, people know that I went to school out in Corpus. I get it all the time. They're like, oh, you're from Corpus, right? Because they know my coaches out there. I just know I'm not from, little Galveston, Texas. But it's a great city. I know moving from Galveston to Corpus Christi to here was a huge, just like a culture shock.
Yeah.
It's got a small town vibe in a big city. And right now, I mean, we got Fiesta going on. So now Fiesta's an amazing party across the city for 2 weeks. So if you guys ever make it out here, even this time next year, it'd be an amazing time.
Yeah, right on. Hey, another thing is too, we're like big fans of Stitch. We had him on the show, man, and we just love everything about him. We don't live too far off from where he grew up, so we relate to him, really well. But I noticed that, not only did we have him on the show, but you got him to be up close and personal as far as like teaching you to wrap hands. I noticed in some of your Instagram posts. What was it like? Did he help mold you to the Cutman you are today, or could you tell me a little bit about that?
That's an amazing question, man. Thank you for bringing them up. I got goosebumps when you just brought that up. So Cutman Joe Villanueva was the one that got me in. And then I just kind of figured it out my way, molded myself as my own Cutman, through school and everything that I learned. I was like, all right, that's cool. I like what he does. I like how this coach raps. I like how my coach in Galveston raps, stuff like that. And Robert Tapia, you guys had Robert on the show.
Yeah. So
at the gym, it's always been Rick, Robert, and then I was a fighter, right? And Robert was always pushing me to fight. And I was like, Rob, I got a game to work this weekend. He's like, work the game and we'll put you on. We'll open up the show. And after you open up the show, you go to the back, you shower, and then you work cuts the rest of the night.
Sounds like Rick.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that sounds like an amazing story. Nobody's done it, but I don't know, Rob. I don't know, Rick. And you got to be all in, man. So that idea was March 2022. And I sat there and I still train with the boys probably about 3 or 4 times a week. And that's the biggest thing that Rick laughs. He's like, Augie, go run with them because I'm not about to. I kind of just stay on them. And so this was about March 2022. Rick had a pretty big card out here. And I told him, I was like, Rick, we got 5 guys on the card. I'd rather help you with them. I got spring football going on. I'm not going to fight. And Robert was just like, Augie, 1-0, 1 KO, just go out into the sunset, just say that you fought. Now, as amazing as it sounds, it's cool. It's okay. It's okay. You guys have created this space for me to help you as a Cutman, an assistant coach, and I'm more than thankful for it. And Robert called me about a month later. He was like, hey, what are you doing? And I told him, I was like, I'm getting ready for a spring football game, man. What's up? And he's like, well, I got Stitch here, and he says, he wants to meet this kid that I keep telling him about. And I was like, where are you? Where do you want to go eat? I'll leave right now. And at that point, man, I think it was that previous December, January, me, Robert, and Rick were painting the gym. We bought all kinds of new bags and a ring and stuff. We're painting the gym. Just randomly, Robert brings it up. He's like, have you ever introduced you to Stitch? So they go way back to the Johnny Tapia days when Stitch worked with him. And I was just like, no, sir. And he's like, give me a second. And he calls Stitch just 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. And he calls him. He had a conversation. He's like, all right, cool. I look forward to, meeting Augie whenever I do or whatever. I thought nothing of it. But Stitch was out here for the Ryan Garcia fight that was here in San Antonio last spring. And I picked him up. We went and had lunch. We were just hanging out. He was quizzing me the entire time. What medicine do you use? How do you take? Do you stack? All right, how do you use an end swell? This and that and the other. So at the time, there was a track meet going on at the university. And as soon as the track meet was over, the spring game was going to start. So my girlfriend is actually an athletic trainer as well. She works with the track team at UIW. I actually tell her all the time that she's the CEO of Combat Sports Medicine. It's not me. She's the brain. She does everything. So I called her, and I was like, everything was kind of blocked off, for the med tent. And I was like, I need you to move the cones. I'm coming in with my truck. I'm gonna park in like the doctor's parking, the handicap parking. And she's like, the ambulance is there. And I was like, I don't care. I'm parked next to the ambulance. I'm on the way with Stitch. And she's like, Stitch. And I was like, I'm on the way. Move the cones, please. And we walked up, man. We walked up and I introduced you to him. And she's like, wow, you're in charge of this whole track meet? Okay, good luck. And we go into my office. And I told Stitch, I was like, this is where I live, man. This is where I do everything. And he picks up like the stretchy tape and the regular white tape that we use, for the ankles and stuff like that. He's checking out the tubs. And I asked him, I was like, Stitch, I gotta ask, did you wrap my hand? And he looks at Robert. He's just like, you're milking me for everything I got. And I started laughing. I was like, Stitch. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna call you Lechero. And I just started laughing, man. I just like, he tells me, he's like, I only use my tape. And I was like, cool, me too. I pulled out the tape and gauze, man, and we sat down and he told me, he was like, who's writing the check? I was like, Robert's got it. And from there, man, he wrapped up my hand and we chopped it up. And at the time, he had just finished recording Pre-3. So we talked about the movie a little bit. He asked me how I did my rap. He instructed me how he did his. And it was amazing. Even throughout that conversation, one thing that stuck out to me the most was he mentioned it to you guys on the podcast, the gentleman that told him no. And he was just like, since then, like, why would I do that to you? Somebody did that to me and made me feel this small, so why would I do that to you? And I even got it written down. He said, when the student does better than the master's done his job. Keep it up, carnal. And he was telling me, he was just like, man, everything that you're trying to do for it's like recovery, injury prevention, actually getting these kids to strengthen up the rotator cuffs. And maybe, just maybe, if you do your core work and your road work, you'll be that much better. You recover as hard as you train, and then you'll be that much better. And that's where, way back when, I think when I was still training, that's when my motto for my company, fighting injuries one round at a time, came from. Yeah. And it was cool, man. It was amazing. So like going back to the Earl Spence story, when I saw him across the ring, he just nodded. Yeah. We went, 10 rounds. When Spence's mouthpiece came out in the 6th, I was like, oh, shoot. They're going to blame me. I'm the new guy in the corner. I have nothing to do with it, but they're going to blame me. As soon as the fight was over, it was cool. Everybody was, celebrating inside the ring. The first thing Stitch did was come find me in the middle. Yeah. And he told me, he's like, you take me out to eat last week. I tell you everything I know. You make me wrap your hand. Then you kick my ass in the main event. he gave me a big hug, man. And, we took a picture after that. And he, with situations like that, even whenever I meet other fighters and coaches and stuff, I never like to be that guy. We have a lot of like NFL players that come around the university. And Stitch said, he's like, let's take a picture. And that meant everything to me, man. We pointed out our camera guy and we took a photo and it was great. It was an amazing moment. And he told Coach Derek, he was like, take care of Augie. He's up next. And it meant a lot. It meant the world to me.
Heck yeah. Thanks for that story, Augie. That was dope, man.
Bro, that was cool.
Me and Bad Chaz have a couple cool stories with Stitch too, dude, that just we'll never forget.
Oh, man.
Just hearing you talk, bro, like, can you give a word to the youth, bro? Because I know a lot of times, dude, where you're at right now, dude, is work and earn. You know what I mean? Like, you work so hard, you earned everything you got, dude. Can you just give a message to our youth and just let them know, how they can follow, like, somewhat in your footsteps, bro?
Yeah, man, it means a lot. No, I got a lot of students that come and follow me, and I'm looking for something over on my phone while I tell you guys. I have a lot of students that come in and observe me at the university. And honestly told them, I was just like, with me, my dad's a truck driver. My mom's a nurse assistant. My dad ran, swam, jumped. I did like a Tough Mudder, like a Spartan race, I think when I was in college. And he was like, man, that's cute. It took me 2 weeks to get here. And that was his biggest thing, even when I was going through school, man. Me and my friends joke around all the time. We love Blood In, Blood Out. 30th anniversary of the movie. I was like, I'm Paco, man. I'm the one that got out. I wasn't a sellout, but I got out. It's hard. It's really hard, especially leaving from your hometown. I think that'd probably be one of the biggest things that did help. I love Galveston. It's home. There's no other place like it. I'm a firm believer of that. But taking that risk and going to Corpus Christi, I didn't know anybody. I just had my cousin with me. She was studying psychology. And now that I'm older, I sat down and I talked to my dad about it, probably barbecue and watch some fights. And I told him, I was like, you came to this country with absolutely nothing. You knew you had family in Houston and Dallas, but you had no idea where they were. You took that chance. You didn't speak the language. So I went to college and I didn't speak the language that were in my textbooks, but I had to learn. I had to figure it out. I would sit there 18 years old at a university and I was just like, man, this is stupid. I'm tired of this. I want to go back home. I had friends that worked in the pipeline, in the oil field, construction workers. They make a lot of money, got their CDL, their truck drivers, stuff like that. So my dad is a truck driver. He's like, all right, let's go get your CDL. Let's go work in the oil field. Petroleum is huge in Texas. I got uncles that work construction, landscaping. I did a lot of stuff with them, throughout high school. And it was great. And I told them, I'm not scared to work. That's not what the thing is, but I want to do something that I love doing every single day. Even as a fighter, I would say when I was younger, I had to figure out, man, I'm not going to be Pacquiao. I'm not going to be Deloy or Mayweather. So I had to figure out, all right, do I want to continue training? How do I apply what I'm learning in school to this? And, everybody says, oh, grind it out, tough it out. But that's honestly, you just got to take it day by day. Take it one step at a time. Even I watched all these Creed movies, right? It's like one step at a time, one punch at a time, one round at a time. But I would sit there with my college degree plan. I'm like, all right, biology. Okay, now I took biology. Now I can take anatomy and physiology. Now I can take exercise physiology. Now I just highlight it, put it up on my wall. And I was like, all right, cool. This is what I got to get done so I can get to where I want to go. It's all about just faith, consistency, hard work. But even with that, faith in your teachers, faith in yourself, faith in your parents. If your hard work isn't consistent, it's going to take you absolutely nowhere. But even with that comes sacrifice. If you dedicate yourself to something truly, that's where sacrifice comes in. Man, I've missed so many parties, quinceañeras, weddings. And even within the profession of athletic training, a lot of my friends know, like, man, Augie's busy in the fall. We got games every week. We're traveling every other week. And even on bye week, we find something to do. So even the sacrifice of knowing, like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life or something, in regard to it. Going to the boxing gym. Like today I was at work all day. I work with my guys. Like we're in spring season. There's a lot of post-op surgeries. Making sure I get them back to where they want to be. That's my biggest passion. Getting them back to what their passion is. And then I'm going to go home. I'm going to eat. And I'm going to go to the boxing gym, help out these kids. Help out the fighters of tomorrow. Give them what I didn't have as a fighter. There's a book called The Four Agreements. Off the top of my head, I can't think of what the Four Agreements are. You guys are putting me on the spot. The Four Agreements is an amazing book. It's short, simple, sweet, to the point. I think it's like always do your best. Don't take anything personal. Don't assume anything. And I can't think of the fourth one. But it's just little things like that, man. Just being consistent, figuring out what you want to do, and then how you're going to get there. It's going to change. You might change either your college degree plan or you figure out, I hate school. I hate school so much. I went to college twice. And, I get my bachelor's degree and my master's degree, but I knew that I had to get it to get where I wanted to be. And even within that, man, I never changed who I was. I go home to Galveston and I still see a lot of friends, still see a lot of family and stuff. I went back to Mexico. I was blessed to go back to Mexico this past fall. My grandmother passed away. And even when I went back home, my older cousin was just like, "Es Agustín, el de la tele." And then he was like, my cousin was just like, I'm the kid in the baptism picture, but Augie's the one that comes out on TV. And they just asked me, man, traveling every single week. And I kind of take it just day by day. I'm a realistic, optimistic person. And I think that goes a long way. Negativity just attracts more negative energy. And it's just being smart. And the smartest person in the room knows what they don't know, opposed to trying to, fake it till you make it type of thing.
Yep, exactly, man.
Yeah. Beautifully said, Augie. Our condolences for your loss, brother. Man, any last words for the boxing fans around the world, Augie?
One of my coaches in Galveston used to say, any fool can fight, but not every fool can box. So, there's a huge difference, man. It's an amazing sport. I say it's something that you truly have to dedicate yourself to. Surround yourself with amazing support system. And I would say if they want what true boxing is, boxing new is, follow DL Boxing Podcast.
Hey, thank you so much.
Augie.
Augie, it's been our pleasure, man. And with that said, we'll sign off. You have a terrific night, brother.
Thanks, Augie, man. You're awesome, bro.
You guys have a good one.
You too, brother. All right, guys, well, it's time to recap the fights that happened last Saturday night. Let's start off with the 19-year-old sensation, Elijah Garcia. He scored a rough and tough unanimous decision over 10 rounds over Kevin Salgado. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, how'd you see Elijah Garcia in this fight, man?
Like you said, man, it was a rough and tough fight, man. They were in
Sure
a phone
was.
booth most of that fight. And one thing I was impressed with Elijah, and I told you guys before I wanted to see him, go through a test, and that's what it was, dude. But he was able to take shots and didn't show that like they affected him because he took some brutal shots, man, and he just kept coming forward. And you know what? I thought he won the decision easily. And I just feel like he needs to take some time and kind of recover a little bit and just come back stronger. But I thought he looked good again. But again, it's just he can't be taking that many shots, man, because it weighs on you after a while.
Yeah, and with every performance, they go back to the tapes and they see, what they could work on in the gym. Bad Chaz, I believe he's turning 20 pretty soon.
Yes.
So he's young in his career. What do these 10 rounds in the bank do for him?
Oh, you know what? They showed that he's there. That he's present and that he's not going anywhere, and that he's not just another name that's coming out to try to basically show that he needs to earn a big fight with a bigger name.
Yeah.
Showing that he can go 10 rounds and that he has the stamina, the durability, the strength, and the grit to go 10 rounds. I think that he's going to be somebody in a couple years that we're going to see face some of the bigger names.
I agree.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood. Oh my God. What's Elijah Wood even with that, bro? So congratulations to Elijah Garcia on a tough victory. All right, guys, moving on to the second fight of that night. We had the rematch between Bektemir Melikuziev and Gabriel Rosado. This time, guys, Beck the Bully scores a rather easy unanimous decision over 10 rounds. Bad Chaz, what'd you think of that fight, man?
Oh, you know what, man? I didn't get to really watch the fight until the end. I was kind of occupied.
You didn't miss much, bro.
What? Yeah, I kind of seen that on some of the highlights that they showed, but I was preoccupied. I didn't get to watch it until the very end of that. But it kind of played out, the way we anticipated it playing. Gabe Rosado did get that first knockout in that first fight. That it was, you kind of impressed him and took him off guard. But this fight, Bektemir, he kind of came in there and kind of played it smart, and kind of took the fight to him and just kind of outworked him, in a wise manner. How'd you guys see that fight?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Rosado was seemed shot, gun shy, couldn't pull the trigger. He was coming off 3 losses, this being his 4th straight loss. And with that said, neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, it is believed that Gabriel Rosado has announced his retirement. Yeah. So what kind of words do you want to say to Gabriel Rosado?
You know what? Just thank you, man, because I enjoyed every fight that you've been in, dude, from Triple G to even now.
Right.
And you know what? He's like one of my favorite fighters, dude. I can honestly say every time he fights, I won't miss one of his fights. And it's glad that he went out on his own terms, dude. And I'm glad he didn't take much of a beating or losing a knockout. And you know what? I hope I get to meet you soon, man. And I definitely want to say thank you, man.
You know what? I want to second you on that because he's been a fighter that I've always liked to watch. Win or lose, he just comes in, he shows up ready to do the job on weight, and he's just durable, you know what I mean? So I can't wait to meet him as well, you know what I mean? And huge we commend you very, very much for the work that you've done and the fights that you've gave us because it's been very entertaining.
Absolutely well said, guys. Congratulations to Beck the Bully on your victory. All right, guys, moving on to the co-main event, which featured the Cuban sensation David Morrell Jr. scoring a dramatic knockout in the very first round over Yamaguchi Falcao. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, what could we say about Morrell, man? He is on the fast track. He has the skills to be on the fast track. How'd you see that knockout, man?
God, man, just brutal, man. Like you posted on Instagram, dude. It was just reminiscent of when Canelo, did the same thing, and it was just scary, man. When you see him fall like that, dude, it's just like you just wish for the best. You know what I mean? But Morrell is just totally on a different level, man. I know he's calling out Benavidez, and again, like it's hard to make a prediction on that fight because you never know until you see him in the ring. You know what I mean? But man, David Morrell is just a stud, man.
Yeah, boy, is he confident to already call out David Benavidez, Bad Chaz. If the fighter wants to fight, should he go for the fight? What do you think, man?
You know what? Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Especially
think
when you
so.
got a Morrell making statements like that back to back. You know what I mean? I think that guy's just lethal in both hands. He's making statements that, have the rest of the division on notice, because he's around the corner and he's not one of those guys that you probably want your fighter to get in there with because he looks like he should be outlawed. He puts people down.
Dangerous.
And so can't wait to see where he goes, man. And he's got some really good rap lyrics. So he's multi-talented and
multi-talented, man.
he's very happy and humble, you know what I mean, to come in here and get the opportunities that he does. So
and he was doing the autism awareness on his fight, which
Yeah,
was really
that was
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really great,
You're right.
man.
Yeah.
So congratulations, David Morrell Jr. on your victory. All right, guys, it's time to recap the main event, the super fight between Gervonta Tank Davis and King Ryan Garcia. As we all know, Gervonta Tank Davis scored a 7th round knockout over King Ryan Garcia, ending it with a body shot to the liver. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, the fight was exciting. It had me on the edge of my seat because at any moment I knew somebody could end it at any second. And how'd you see that fight, man?
Man, you know what I told you, man? Like after the fight, I was disappointed, man.
Right.
And it was just for the fact that I wanted Ryan to win so bad, dude. I was just rooting for Ryan and, and just I'm a poor sport. You know what I mean? And so when I take a loss like that, I feel like I lost. You know what I mean? And man, it just took me a while to digest that fight. And, I was kind of a critic of Ryan thinking, you could have got up, dude. You could have did this. You could have did that. But you know what? It didn't happen that way. You know what I mean? And so I got to take a step back and just give props to Ryan. You know what I mean? Because he made me just, I'm a huge fan already, but he made us all fans, dude. Don't matter. Everybody was talking about this fight, dude. Everybody was asking my opinion, dude. It brought people together. It brought my family together. It brought us even together.
Yeah.
And just being able to talk to others about the fight, being able to have people buy the fight just for what we were saying was just great, dude.
Yeah.
And you know what? Tank was the better man, dude. I don't take anything away from Tank, dude. He looked awesome in that ring, dude. He was, again, levels above Ryan. And but Ryan took that loss humble, dude, gracious. And, I'm still rocking with Ryan, dude. I want to see what he does, dude. And much credit for Ryan to making that fight, dude. And I'm still a fan. I'm not going anywhere, you know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to what Tank does next. So I'm just trying to, you know what I mean? Just be a fan again, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any, I don't want to be a critic because I was in the beginning, dude, and that's not my character. But congratulations to Ryan and Tank for making that fight because, man, you gave me some excitement the past few
Right,
weeks,
we had
man.
butterflies, and it was just the house was full of excitement.
Yeah.
Talking about the fight, Bad Chaz, King Ryan Garcia, I think, stayed true to his word in that he kept on saying, I'm going to knock him out in 2, right? 2. And I think he got overzealous and wanted to make that a reality and came out in round 2 very aggressive, backing up Tank, making Tank hold on to him. But he made the mistake of kind of leaving his guard open as he threw that wide left hook, and he got caught with the flush left hand that dropped him. Do you think, obviously, is that where the fight turned maybe, as far as the mental warfare?
Yeah, perhaps it could have, going up into this fight, I kind of was uncertain, which direction this would go, but I kind of had a feeling, Tank, evidently, he has more tools in the bag, but I was just so proud of Ryan to make this fight happen, because nobody else is taking these chances and rolling the dice in that division, and huge respect to him for making this fight. As far as, him coming in there and kind of taking that fight to him in the first couple rounds when I was watching that fight, it was nice to see Ryan kind of come forward and do that to Tank. But then again, I know Tank's patterns. That's where Tank shines. So you kind of have to, you see, as a casual fan, you're watching Ryan and you're seeing what he's doing and you're thinking, all right, yeah, he's doing what he needs to do. But this is where Tank shines. So, and it showed, he knocked him down, popped him in the chin and he went down to the canvas. But he recovered and he got back up, and I was happy for him. That showed greatness.
Yep.
All right. So then he continued, after that, and then he was pressing that fight and he was trying to make adjustments, but he only had so many tools in the bag, and then he was kind of getting frustrated, and then he was kind of overcommitting, and Tank made more adjustments at that point, and he realized what he needed to do, because knocking him down and punching him in the face, that wasn't what it was going to work, because he got back up from that. So I think that Tank realized at this moment, I need to go to the body on this guy. And
Boy, did he.
I didn't expect that from Tank. And I didn't expect Tank to win as many rounds as he did, because a lot of the times he surrenders a lot of rounds to set traps. And in this fight, he did a lot of things great, you know, and huge respect to both of them. I'm glad that fight took place. And I just see the 135 division, you know what I mean? It's getting exciting, and it's getting to the point where we're going to see more exciting fights. And I think Ryan kind of started that ball. He started turning that ball.
Yeah.
And I
They
can't
set
wait
the
to
bar
see. Yeah.
for that.
Right.
Exactly.
And he brought everybody out that night. It was a
Yeah.
great venue. It was very exciting, and I loved it, man. You know,
Yeah.
you know what? I hope that Ryan goes back and you know what, he handled it well, and he congratulated Tank well, and he took it like a man, and he's a young man, and I hope that you know, he makes adjustments and he comes back even stronger.
Right, shows the maturity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my take on it.
Good take, Bad Chaz. That body shot, neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, right on the liver. It was just as Ryan was throwing that right hook, caught him right there, and you know, a delayed reaction. He took the knee. It felt like he was having an internal mental battle within his head. Should I get up? Should I not? There was still half a round left in that round. You know, half the round left. Do you think it was just the fact that Ryan said, you know what, I tried my best, but he's beaten the fight out of me?
You know what? I can't answer that, dude. I don't know, but I would like to say, like, if it was another fighter that I loved, I would like him to see him try to get up. You know what I mean, and go out on your shield. But again, Ryan's smart, dude. Like, he calculated this whole entire just mega fight, so he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean, and I can't say like anything bad about him, dude. Just for the fact, like I told you guys earlier, dude. Like, he made us all fans again. But one thing that I can say, dude, is and I'll tell you guys, I'm disappointed at the fact that, you know, you win as a team and you lose as a team. You know what I mean? And for certain people not to be at your press conference kind of shows not only the fighter a lot, but shows the fans a lot.
Yeah, that was bad.
And you know what? I hope Golden Boy or whoever was on Ryan's team don't lose any fans, because I would never do that to you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If something happens, it happens to all of us. You know what I mean? And I would never not have your guys' back for anything like that. I would never abandon you guys, and that's how I felt. And it's just, you know, again, I don't know the circumstances, but if that were me, doesn't matter what the circumstances is, dude. I'm there for you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Thank you, man. Likewise, man.
Same.
Yeah, absolutely. The upside for Ryan is that he's been in a super fight. And like I said, hopefully the maturity sets in. He knows what he now needs to work on. He knows that at the level he's at right now is just not going to quite cut it at the very elite level. So he's 24, man. He's going to go up to 140, where he could still shine and be that world champion that he desires to be. But I do want to give credit to Ryan Garcia, because as we know, this fight was made because of all the concessions that he gave away to make this fight.
Good point.
And I think from here on out, it's on the ball's on Gervonta Davis's court. See what super fights he's going to make. Is he going to go after Shakur, after Haney or Loma, the winner of that fight?
Yeah.
Or is he going to, only fight these guys if there's a catch weight or if there's this clause, that clause? So we'll see how Tank Davis, his future from here on out. And it's going to say a lot, I believe, man. But with that said, we are very happy we got to witness that super fight. And like you said, it's starting to trend, and hopefully boxing will come out better for it. Yeah. So congratulations to Gervonta Tank Davis on that impressive victory. All right, guys. Well, it's fight week. All right, guys, let's preview the DAZN card out of Arlington, Texas, where the main event, we're going to have 135-pounder William Zepeda, undefeated at 27-0 with 23 KOs. He's going to take on Jaime Arboleda over 12 rounds. Arboleda is 19-2 with 14 KOs. Neighborhood hero Ryan Rios, Zepeda is just a machine in that ring. Do we expect him to knock out Arboleda in this fight?
Yeah, you know what? He's the big favorite, dude.
Yeah.
And I want to say he was one of my guys that I picked for Fighter of the Year, dude.
That's right.
He's just super busy, super tough, just punches you at all angles, man. And I think it's going to be easy work, dude. And I think it's going to be an early night for his opponent, man.
Yeah, I agree. Bad Chaz, You're a big fan of Zepeda and
Oh,
all,
yeah,
all the
man.
punches he has in his toolbox.
Yeah, he's a workhorse. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? He
he
doesn't
is.
stop throwing them, and he doesn't stop walking you down. And he goes upstairs, downstairs, and yeah, I just kind of see this fight being a knockout or a stoppage. You know what I mean for his opponent. I know that his opponent Jaime did face Chris Colbert.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. William Zepeda, he deserves a big name, and I'm hoping that Golden Boy can do that for him eventually.
Yeah, well said about Chaz. All right, guys, well, it's time to talk about the current events in boxing. Well, just recently announced, guys, is the rematch between Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. It is set for June 17th in Manchester. Of course, that first fight, it was quite an upset where Liam Smith stopped Chris Eubank Jr. in the 4th round in an exciting bout. Neighborhood here, Ryan Rios, do we expect a repeat or are you thinking of revenge this time?
You know what? I'd like to see revenge just for the trilogy. But again, Smith, man, I think he just wears him out, dude. I think after, is it a 10 round, 12 round? Do you guys know?
I'm not sure. Probably 12 rounds, I want to say.
I don't think he knocks him out that early, but I think he
Right, that
stops
was
him
early.
later on. And he just wears him down, dude. He's just too durable, just too tough. He looked like a freaking machine, man.
Right.
And I was super impressed. And yeah, Liam Smith gets that victory, dude.
Wow. Bad Chaz, Chris Eubank Jr., what kind of things does he have to go back, to the drawing board in this fight? Maybe new trainer? Nothing's
yeah.
been said.
Yeah, I would
it's
say
probably
that.
too soon. Maybe he still sticks with Roy Jones Jr., but he's got to do something different this fight, right?
Yeah, I would say, don't try to mimic Roy Jones, keep your hands up and just
exactly.
be patient, and just kind of study Liam Smith from the first fight, and just kind of look out for, the things that he possesses because, I mean, he's pretty straight up and down. He doesn't have incredible speed. He doesn't have incredible lateral movement. I think that Chris Eubank can figure him out.
Yeah, he needs to respect him, right? I
Yeah.
think he kind of maybe
beat him to the punch.
underestimated him. Yeah. And you're right. Just keep to the basics, I believe. And it should be interesting, man. I can't call it right now, but like I said, it would be cool to get revenge. I mean, maybe get a trilogy, but it's going to be a really good fight. Tune in June 17th to watch Liam Smith take on Chris Eubank Jr. in the rematch. All right, guys. In other events, we have WBC lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury planning his title defense in July. And some possible names that have come up for him are Andy Ruiz and Zhilei Zhang, man. So those are pretty exciting. As we know, the fight with Usyk fell through, which is disappointing, right, Bad Chaz?
Yeah, that's the fight I wanted to see.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And talking about Tank and Ryan, giving the example is like,
Yeah.
that's all we want. We want to see the fights that we want to see because of how we felt, how exciting it was, and win or lose, everybody still respects you and loves you, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, Tyson Fury Usyk fell through, so now we have Andy Ruiz and Zhilei Zhang as potential opponents. Still good fights.
Yeah.
What do you think, or who would you prefer out of those two?
You know what? Me personally, I would just like to see maybe Ruiz and Fury go at it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, I think that would be my first and foremost matchup, and then
Former
and
champion.
then maybe Zhang. But I still have in the back of my mind I have the Usyk fight, taking place. But I just don't want to see Fury take on the Ruiz and Zhang and then take on Usyk because it's mandatory or some issue, But I think if he was smart, he would take on Usyk now. And you know what I mean? Win or lose, I think that it's going to bring in more money and it's going to make it a bigger fight. And then
Legacy fight.
if that's his retirement fight, that's his retirement fight. And I think that that's the way that it should go down.
Yeah, I would prefer him to fight Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz, of course, the first Mexican descendant heavyweight champion and a former champion at that. I think that would be a great fight. What do you think, Neighborhood Hero on Reels?
You know what? I'd like to see Zhang and Ruiz fight first.
Yeah.
And then get the...
That'd be cool. That'd be a great fight
Fury,
too, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then that would take forever.
Yeah.
And Ruiz is always inactive. But yeah, if I had to pick between those two, I'd pick
matchmaking.
Ruiz. And I say Fury knocks him out, man.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz just shows he's not very disciplined, man. And he takes that money and he runs, dude.
That's true,
and,
man. That's
you know
true.
what? I'm a big Fury fan, dude. Fury showed us a lot of love, dude, when we met him, dude. And he's just a class act, dude, a funny guy, just a character, larger than life, dude. And to me, dude, Andy Ruiz is just about one thing, and that's just about the money, dude.
I think Fury's fists were larger than our heads.
yeah,
He put him next to our head and took a picture,
Yeah,
and I was
like,
like, dang,
huge, man.
he's
Yeah.
little, huh?
Yeah. Well, I hope Tyson Fury doesn't disappoint, and out of the blue, another name comes up like,
Yeah.
who? Yeah. So those are the current events in boxing, guys. All right, guys. Well, that concludes our podcast. What can we say, man? Great podcast. Shout out to Augie.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
on the show.
Augie.
Yeah, that was awesome. Great wealth of information. You shared the stories were just beautiful. Man, it was just awesome, man. Neighborhood Hero Ryan Reels, any shout outs you'd like to give out?
Yeah, just thanks to Augie.
Yeah.
Thanks to Rick. Thanks to Bad Boy Visuals. Thanks to Rudy. Thanks to Omar. Thanks for everybody out in San Antonio for supporting us, man.
Absolutely,
Because we love you guys, man. We're big fans,
do.
and we're gonna make a trip out soon. So stay tuned, man.
Absolutely. Well said, Neighborhood Hero Ryan Reels. Bad Chaz.
Oh, you know what? Just thanks to all those people from San Antonio, Texas, man. They've showed us huge love and just kind of second what you said, But, shout out to Rob and Liam, our sound guys. Shout out to Hanford Powell, those kids out there, man. They put on a war. They're responsible. They're committed. Shout out to Ruben Valdivino. Shout out to Coach Nash. You guys are doing great things and making young boys into men. And here at DL Boxing Podcast, we commend that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Bad Chaz. And with that said, thank you to our viewers. Thank you for supporting us. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it. With that said, guys, I am Coach D, along with Neighborhood Hero Ryan Rios and Bad Chaz. And we're out, guys.